Hello and welcome to Mother Earth Astrology's Sun Sign Self-Awareness series. Today we're talking Scorpio energy. So how are you all doing? How did you go during the Libra month? Did you manage to achieve a bit more balance in your life? Well, what a big year it was, hey? We seem to be coming through it now. So we've had this Saturn-Neptune square that was really quite trying to make us confront things and shift through things, but it kind of felt a little bit like Groundhog Day earlier this year, and September was particularly intense. So we came through that and we went through the Libra month, and if you remember from my last video, it was all about really settling and getting back to a feeling of being balanced again. And we've also been given the opportunity to look at our relationships, and even though we're now moving into Scorpio energy, Jupiter is still in Libra. So if there's anything you're still working through with regards to relationships, remember that Jupiter may make you confront those issues and to no longer sweep them under the carpet, but it's all for a good purpose. It's to help you to grow through relationship, to hopefully expand your relationships a little better and bring more optimism to them. But as of Sunday, the sun moved into Scorpio. So for those of you still dealing with any matters related to relationships, you may find that takes a little bit more of an intense focus, because Scorpio energy tends to get a little bit more focused. It can be a little bit more intimate. So maybe you're moving more into intimate matters or real shared matters, which could be anything from your intimate relationships with others to your shared finances. So you may find there may be points around that coming up for you in the next 4 weeks. Now, Mercury also moved into Scorpio this morning, and when we have the Scorpio energy, so we've just come from the Libra energy, which tends to be quite social, and now we're going into Scorpio energy, so don't be surprised if you're feeling a little bit more deep, if your conversations with people take on a more serious note. So you may find that you still go and have coffee with your friends, but you might be talking about the deeper issues of life now, you know, life, death, psychological points. There could be anything coming up with Scorpio. Scorpio really trudges deep and brings up those matters that we don't always like to talk about, or not everybody does. And we might not feel like going out as much when we're in a Scorpio place, because Scorpio energy tends to take us deep, and with Mercury ruling the mind and the logical functions and the way we communicate with others, and with that being quite deep, we might just be more quiet at the minute, feeling a little more reserved, feeling like staying home a little bit more as well. Now, it's a really great month for doing things related to purging and transformation as well, which is a really strong Scorpio tone, but especially so because when the sun entered Scorpio this month, we had the Mars-Pluto conjunction in the sky, and this is happening at the minute. It was still pretty strong on Sunday when the sun moved into Scorpio, so it kind of set the tone for the next 4 weeks, and this is really powerful energy for doing any kind of work that involves shifting or transforming. So just a simple example to throw out there, what's happening in my life is the first 10 degrees of Scorpio actually affects a zone in my chart related to my home and family life. And one thing we're going to be doing in 2 weeks' time is having a renovation done. So we're transforming our garage basically into 3 additional rooms. And that's also involved going into the garage and sorting out whatever was already in that garage, which I was doing on Sunday. So there's an element of purging. So just take it as to whatever that means for you. For some of us, that may be physical purging. You know, we may suddenly feel this whole need to just get into those cupboards that we've been wanting to tackle for the last year, and we've been totally putting it off. Maybe the kitchen cupboards might find you going in there and having a big clean out, or that cupboard that's situated at the back of your house that you don't like to visit too often, you might find yourself going in there and having a big purge. Or even psychologically and emotionally for you, you may find you go through a lot of shifting this month. It's a great month for getting to grips with anything. If you have something psychological or a pattern or something that's been bothering you, you know, really tune in this month and try getting to grips with that. We have Mercury, as I was saying before, which is the way we think and our psychological, not our psychological processes, it's the way we think and the way we communicate. But when Mercury goes into the sign of Scorpio, as he did this morning, we can get really psychological with that, okay? So it's also a water sign, is Scorpio, so the way we think and the way we feel can now be more aligned, and we can really start to understand our feelings if we really take the time to analyze that a little more. And when the sun goes into Sagittarius, which will happen later on in the month of November, I've not looked what the date is yet, but it's normally in the early 20s, that's when we want to be out more and we want to be more adventurous. So just take the time right now to be inward and to do the work, and then you can go out and be adventurous and be, you know, unencumbered with less baggage, you know, a bit more exciting. Now the moon is also in its gibbous phase at the moment, and we'll be moving into balsamic on Thursday, which means that we've come past the full moon now, where we have the heightened energy and the push and the impetus to move forward, and we're now becoming more inward anyway. So we've got all this Scorpio energy at the minute, we're now becoming more inward. So don't be surprised if this week carries on, if you start to feel a little more tired by the end of the week, and just honor that, you know. If you need more sleep, then take it, because if you try and push your rock uphill at this point in a lunar cycle, you might end up being more tired. So if you've not been getting your 8 hours and you need them, maybe tonight's the night for an early night to start catching up again. And then we have our new moon on Monday, which will be in the sign of Scorpio. So maybe try thinking about what did you achieve during the last cycle of the moon, you know, of the lunar month we've just going through, and what have you taken from that? And what would you like to put in place as of Monday? You know, what seeds would you like to sow under this Scorpio energy? And Scorpio is synonymous with focus, we've just made a new word up, focus, intensity, power, grit. You know, Scorpio is a sign that can really get to the bottom of things. It's great for psychic work, so really tune into your feelings this month and see if you are able to put some feelers out and sense things that you wouldn't normally sense. And if you've got some kind of work, like some study or anything around that kind of thing, kind of process, it'd be a really good month for doing that, because you would probably find you've got the concentration now to really get down and get that finished and work that through. And Scorpio energy, a lot of people who have strong Scorpio energy tend to work with psychic energy, or they may be people that really like to get to the bottom of things in the realm of like a policeman, maybe a detective who likes to sift through clues. You know, it is real focused. And so if you really need to do something right now that entails that focus, and especially with that Mars Pluto energy that we've also got helping us along, you know, it's been a week, it's been a year for feeling quite stuck, and I'm finding for myself, and I hope for you guys too, that we're now coming to a position where we feel like we're really shifting and we're moving forward again, and things are starting to happen. And I'm not a numerologist, but I keep reading all this stuff about next year being a number 1 year, where there can be like all these new beginnings and things coming through. So I feel like things are starting to move, so maybe harnessing all the Plutonic, really powerful energy of this month and really shifting and moving through some things and forging ahead again. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. If you would like to know more about your own personal chart, it's always good to look, when things are happening, it's always good to look in your own chart at where that activity is happening. So for example, the sun is at the very early degrees of Scorpio. I think we're still at 1 degree Scorpio at the minute, but of course there's 30 degrees in Scorpio. So if you look at where that particular energy sits in your own birth chart, you can look at what might be being triggered at this time. The sun in itself isn't a strong transit. The sun basically sets the flavour for the month ahead. But if the sun goes and triggers another point within your chart that is receiving another transit from a stronger planet, so for example, say you have Pluto sitting at 10 degrees of Scorpio, and you're having a real strong transit to that Pluto, so say you might have Uranus triggering your natal Pluto, and the sun goes and hits that point, you might find that that something happens on that date of the sun triggering that point that brings that energy to the fore of what you're actually experiencing at the minute and makes it a little bit stronger, or like you might have an altercation on that day. And that reminds me that Scorpio energy can also be bring a bit of power play into the month as well. So you might find you have power struggles with people, or there might be a little bit of drama going on. So just be aware of that, and always remember to bring it back to the self and say, you know, why is this happening, and what could this be related to within my own personal self? What's my lesson here? So if you would like to know more about your own personal chart, I do have my free ebook that I give out if you sign up to my newsletter. So you can go onto my website at www.motherearthastrology.com and hit the sign up button, and as you go through that process, it will also give you the information you need to be able to obtain your free birth chart as well from me, which I send out to you. And also you need to remember to add Toria at motherearthastrology.com to your contacts list, so that you make sure you do receive those newsletters, which are sent out every Thursday morning at 10 a.m. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. Have a powerful, transformative month. I hope whatever you're doing that you're really able to shift through things. And I'll speak to you next month when we have the sun going into Sagittarius. Take care.